found that to cover.
Let's get back to
What's up, boys? Darktide is finally here, and the early access launch wasn't exactly what you'd call flawless, unless you're a CA employee, that is, in which case, to you, this probably looks pretty polished.
Everybody out. There we go.
Hey!
Now, to be fair to them, they've ironed out most things, but the performance is still a little bit rocky, there's a few bugs, the story is weaker than My Will to Live, and there's a shop inside a full-price game, which I think we can all agree is pretty damn cringe. And yet, with all of this included, it still might just be the most fun you can have blowing up chaos in space. Now, is this because it's the only game where you can blow up chaos in space this close and personal? Yeah. Is the game still fun, though? Yeah. Now, since the main aim of the game is to grind to get the best possible character that you can, I've been maining Zealot and trying to get to the top rank and get the actual fun weapons and skills. And let me tell you, they can get some pretty fun weapons and skills. So join me today as we take a look at the Zealot Preacher in Warhammer 40k Darktide. Now, the best way I can describe the Zealots is that they're kind of like Slayers, but they're tall, they have worse beards, they're not dwarves, they don't talk in as fun voices. So they basically just have these suicidal tendencies down, and that's about it. Explains why I'm so drawn to them. All they want to do is dive into as many enemies as they can and take out as many heretics as possible before they get overwhelmed and die a glorious death in the name of the Emperor. Now, this is reflected in their traits, where they are pretty much rewarded for being in the face of the enemy and being on the brink of death at pretty much all times. Being close to death makes them do more damage, they take less damage when they're super close to enemies, they can even bail themselves out of death every 90 seconds. So if that doesn't tell you to dance the line between life and actual death, then I don't know what does.
Fuck's sake, man. I can't even charge with power attacks, I'm getting so railed. Fuck me, dude. Jesus Christ, where'd they come from? Oh no, this, I'm just... Fuck's sake, I tried. I tried, let no one say I didn't try.
Now, if you're wondering how you're meant to survive going so deep into enemies, then look no further than the rest of their kit. Their aura makes them take less toughness damage, so if your whole squad is getting in there, you're nearly unkillable. Their grenade stuns all enemies in a pretty large area, so if you're getting overwhelmed, you just spike this into the ground at your feet, stun all the enemies, and either kill them all or run away. Even their ability regens half their toughness, so they can dive in deep, take a load of damage, become immune to death, and just as you're about to die, dash even deeper in to start the whole cycle again with some freshly added toughness. And on top of this, the massive crit damage that they do after they've done their dash, and the Zealot can survive an unbelievably long time and do a ton of work while they're in there.
Oh fuck. I should get a load of health back off this. Oh my, look at that. God, I love this trait. Oh, shooter.
Now, when choosing their feats, you're just going to go further and further into the high-risk, balls-to-the-wall playstyle no matter what you go. Now, I like to go for what I like to call the no-regrets build, and this essentially means I want to be on the brink of death as often as I can. When you're at low health with this build, you slice and dice so fast that it looks like the game is bugging out, and you do so much damage it is unbelievable. So let's just go over these feats. You regen HP when near enemies, you attack faster while below 50% and then 20% HP, your allies take 15% less toughness damage, you gain HP back for the damage dealt during until death, so you can get right back into it once your iframes run out, you can now stack Martyrdom up to 6 times, meaning if you're missing 90 HP, you're going to be doing 30 extra damage from every single source that you can think of, and you can now use Chastise the Wicked 2 times, and let me remind you, that gets you extra toughness. So when you have all this build going online, your plan is to dive into enemies, get as low HP as you can as quickly as possible, do as much damage as possible from that low HP bonus. Once you run out of toughness, use your ult to get it back, do it again, and then use the iframes to get all of your HP back by doing a massive amount of damage because you're at such low HP, and then start the cycle all over again, because by the time you've done all this, you'll probably have some cooldowns up. You'll probably be able to dash again, and then after that, you'll probably get your iframes back. And this is all assuming the wave even lasts this long. Honestly, it is hard to use the full extent of this build because of the rotation of abilities and the insane amounts of survivability and damage that you have. You will have wiped out the wave entirely by yourself by the time you run out of cooldowns.
Alright.
Settle down, you psycho.
Now, of course, this build is all well and good, but it is nothing without a trusty weapon to, actually kill the heretics with. Otherwise, you're just an insane person running in empty-handed. Now, you can use any number of good weapons, but for me, you can go one of two ways. Crowd control melee and high single target ranged, or high single target melee and crowd control ranged. Now, personally, I will go for the second option every single time, and it's pretty much for one single reason. This entire build revolves around being as tough as possible, keeping toughness at 100% if you can, and while in combat, you replenish toughness by getting melee kills. You don't replenish it by getting ranged kills, so what's the point in getting actual kills with ranged, with the high damage on a single target, when it doesn't get you anything? Crowd control is all well and good in melee, but if you can't get a last hit on anything, you're going to go down as much as Malekith's mum. You want to go for a melee weapon that can one-shot the weaker stuff and do some serious damage to the stronger stuff. To start off with, the axe will serve you well. Yeah, it might be a little bit slow, yeah, it might feel like you can only kill one thing at a time, but you'll get steady kills. Later on, you have to go for the hammer and accept no substitutes. Not only is it a one-shot machine with the basic swing, it can also one-shot half of the specials in the game with the special super-duper charge strike, and you can wipe out swarms of enemies per heavy swing. Add all this together, you can't really go wrong when you're bonking your way to extraction.
Skadoosh! I want more skadoosh! Oh shit, missed. Skadoosh! There we go. You just can't beat that, can you? Oh my god, it's so satisfying. The goddamn mallet, how can you not love that? Oh, because it does a lot of damage.
Now for ranged, as we said, you're going to go for crowd control, and this is only really going to be used when you're being attacked from a range and can't close the gap, or when there's a swarm that you want to thin out before you dive straight in. This only really matters when you're earlier into the build since you can't really survive, but I digress. To start off with, the weapon you start with, the autofill pistol, is pretty good. The autogun is also a good choice. They do decent damage per bullet, and it might not be amazing, but when you spray into a crowd, it'll be hard to miss, so it adds up pretty quick. Now later on, you can go for any number of powerful range choices, but for me, and for you, there should only be one conceivable option, and that is, of course, the flamer. When you want to purge heretics en masse, accept no substitutes. If you see a swarm that's a little bit too large for you to dive in, plant your feet and spray and pray until there is nothing left in the tank.
For the Emperor! Maim, kill, burn! Maim, kill, burn!
Now yes, using the flamer does come at the minor downside that when you use it you lose roughly half your frames, but that's besides the point. It is worth it for how easily it melts chaos. And there is also the other slight downside that you have basically no way to deal with long ranged, so if there's a sniper and you can't dodge them, then yeah, you are a little bit screwed, but let's be honest, if you want to shoot things that are far away, you should have played the sharpshooter. The Zealot is there for one thing and one thing only. He wants to be in the front lines, chopping up chaos, battering them with a hammer, setting them on fire, and smelling all of this glorious viscera up close and personal. We're here for high-octane chaos purging. We're not here to be a shooty-bang-bang at the back of the group.
Got me horny, dog.
And that's pretty much how I've been playing Zealot this entire time. Now, I'm definitely going to be sad to leave them behind, since it really has been a ton of fun, and nothing is ever going to top the joy of using that flamer for the first time. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, maybe subscribe if you want to see more. You know, we're aiming to hit 50k by the end of the year. And we're getting pretty close to the end of the year, so if you wouldn't mind giving me an assist, I sure would appreciate it. If you're feeling like you have an especially big penis, then consider supporting the channel directly. You can do this by becoming a member on YouTube, a patron on the Patreon, or a subscriber on Twitch. Doing so gets you early insights into future content, increased voting power, discounts on merch, as well as shoutouts at the end of videos, just like Henry took for his spot at the Officers tier. A huge thank you to all supporters, one last thank you for watching, and for now, I've been Colonel Damneders, and I will see you next turn.